Hey guys, welcome Birds of a Feather live on A2DRadio.com from the Real Talk Studios. First half of our show is brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com. Chrome here, joined by Chucks as usual.
What up?
Ryan, the bro, Doe.
The bro.
We're going to consider retiring the second nickname, Mr. I nickname myself.
No, we won't.
I told Ryan we might retire it after today. So, thank you for Ryan for all you do over there, brother.
Thank
Killing
you
it,
guys.
as always on the ones and twos. Our Scanzano Sports poll question of the week. Which players stood out to you the most halfway through the preseason, whether it's positively, negatively? Shelton Gibson, Ronald Darby, Matt Jones, Big V. Anybody else you guys want to talk about? Joining us, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. We appreciate you guys. We're dedicating the show to my good friend Chris Pappas, who unfortunately passed away this week. We're going to dedicate this show and our following show, Lazy Booking, which
Prayers
will be here at later in the night. But so that's our poll question. We're also going to talk preseason standouts, Eagles quarterbacks. We're going to preview Eagles and Browns for preseason, and of course our new favorite segment that we really enjoy doing, No Huddle, where we just kind of rapid fire go around the circle and throw out a quick snippet of something sports related, not sports related, whatever we want to talk about. So, So what do you guys have?
What up, man?
Nah,
Just saying what's up.
Charles
2 weeks in
saying,
a row.
what
It's that's good.
What?
It's a good sign having you here 2 weeks in a row after a little lack of consistency over the past few months. But all right, so the poll question.
Guy gets a vacation every
Yeah,
night.
and it's summer, Mr. Moran.
I know it is. I know it is.
Crybaby over here.
Hey, I'm
not all of us are
crying.
saving for a wedding.
Blame me for missing you. I'm sorry.
Check back with me when I'm 43 when I start saving for my wedding. I got 10 more years for that.
I'm going to go with Shelton Gibson, the popular pick, probably out of everyone. Now I know there are a few names that we're going to touch upon who haven't played well, and I'm definitely going to talk about that. But I do want to talk about Shelton Gibson because this is someone who I'm actually doing my article for this week, which should be coming out Thursday before the preseason game. I actually have an article coming out on Shelton Gibson and his emergence, and pretty much I think it's obvious he's made strides. But I think it kind of reminds me to a lesser degree about Nelson Aguilar's bounce back to his career. Because if you remember last year, Shelton Gibson was dropping everything. He was completely lost in training camp and in the preseason. He just did not know what he was doing. And this is someone out of West Virginia who didn't really have an extensive route tree. Mm-hmm. Like he just ran deep routes the whole time while he was in college. He returned some kicks, and last year he couldn't even do that because he was just trying to get up to speed and trying to adjust and trying to adapt, do everything that a rookie's supposed to do. But this year you can tell he's really worked on the little things. He's gotten the offensive system down, and his touchdown last week against the Patriots, that was a thing of beauty. Like that is a that's a starting defensive back for the Patriots that he's going up against. That's Jason McCourty. He's no third stringer. He's no backup. That is a starting defensive back for the Patriots that he completely burned on that touchdown. And it just shows how well he's developed his route running, and he's developed a whole route tree now. He doesn't just run go routes. He doesn't just run deep posts or deep corners. He runs slants. He runs ins and outs in the intermediate levels of the field. So I think, and I have to mention that his kickoff returning ability has been amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, he's been consistent. Now, some of it is due to the new rule changes, and in general, kick returners, you'll see because of the way now it's structured, they're going to have more room to run. But Gibson, regardless of that, has run really, really well. And I think we definitely have found our starting kick returner for special teams, which is something we never have like a really good guy back there as a kick returner. So Gibson has pretty much cemented his role as that, and now it's just a matter of how is he gonna be able to contribute now as that 4th/5th receiver, along with Mac Hollins who, by the way, we just found out like a day ago that he had off-season hernia surgery, and that's why he hasn't really stood out at training camp and in preseason games. It's because he's recovering from that injury. But Gibson with Hollins, it gives us another level of depth for the wide receiver core. So I think Gibson is a great story. He's bounced back in only his second year, and I think anything that he can contribute to this team is just like absolutely icing on the cake to an already deep offensive team.
Yeah, I think for me it's Ronald Darby, just because we were talking about, is this guy going to get traded prior to the season starting? Not that we didn't think it could be a special talent. Obviously, we acquired him last year, knowing that he could be a special talent, a top defensive back in this league for this team. But we're so deep at the position, and kind of looking at it, he's on a contract year, and thinking about, if you're trying to continue to replenish and restock, he was the popular name that came out, and he's kind of just come into camp and made it impossible to even consider at this point making a move with him. And really, he's going to make if he continues, he's making a strong case for, being a guy who has to be re-signed at the end of the year. We looked at different guys last year, and we said, who needs to be brought back? Guys like Bradham. He might be that guy that tops the list coming into next year.
Yeah. A bunch of people would love that. I know a lot of people are skeptical because of the money situation.
Sure.
But, I mean, if this guy balls out, how can you not want to sign him long term? Like, you like, if he makes the Pro Bowl and has like that type of season, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Similar to what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and he's a guy who is still a really young guy. He's not at a position where there's as much wear and tear, where you talk about coming in. We've had discussions. When Ajayi, after this season, do you consider bringing him back? I mean, there's a lot more factors into that. A lot higher risk when you talk about those kind of guys who are kind of grinding constantly.
Yep.
When you talk about linemen and all that, he's a guy that could have a lot of longevity in this league. And I think that he's in a great situation to continue to succeed. So he's the guy I have my eye on, the guy I've been really super impressed with. And I'm hoping that he does end up being that elite cornerback for us this year. It's only going to benefit us. You know what I mean? With our depth. So what do you have, Ryan?
You see, with you guys going positive, I'll go more on like the negative type of things.
Do.
And there's two.
Please do.
I can go two different ways with it, but I know we're going to elaborate more on the one category later, so I'll save it. For me, if I'm going to single out a single player, it's absolutely Vaitai, okay? Now, and I've never been someone that obsesses over the words of a player, maybe someone that, didn't say things the correct way. I've never been that guy.
Say it.
Not only has he had a pretty disappointing preseason, from the get-go, to be honest with you, I look at it as far as his comments made this past week. And Chuck's, obviously, you brought it up not only before the show, but I saw it as well. Basically saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of, I kind of took it easier. I took things lightly because, obviously, after the Super Bowl, preseason, all that stuff. And when I hear that from a player, regardless of who it is, I don't care if it's Vaitai, I don't care if it's Wentz, Peters, Sproles, Ajayi, whoever. It doesn't matter if a coach is saying it. You don't want to hear that because
you really don't.
When you hear about Super Bowl hangover, when you hear about, maybe some mindsets of players that won it the year before starts to drift a little bit because you reached the highest point and, oh, my God, it was great.
Super Bowl hangover.
That, and a lot of us, obviously, as fans, and we see the culture of this team, we really didn't throw these group of players in that category because not only did a lot of these players have their heads on straights, and they still do, but a lot of the guys that missed out on the season, a Peters, a Wentz, and Sproles, etc., they didn't get that feeling. So it didn't really apply to this team when it came to, minds drifting, game plans changing, Super Bowl hangover, approaching. Vaitai's comments epitomizes every fear of a team and a fan base after you win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
That epitomized it. And I'm not going to destroy him for it because, again,
I will. Go ahead, finish because I will.
Well,
I will.
You can, and you should. Like, trust me, you have every right to do it. I will just say I understand that this man is not in charge of PR. He is not going home and scripting what to say and not to say. but it's an absolute disgrace for that to be in his head.
Yep.
Yes, and I will follow that up, and I see that one guy, Antonio Rolón on Rolón. Sorry if I butchered that on our chat. He's pretty active, and we appreciate your you chiming in and everything. He says, I'm not worried about Big V. He's a Super Bowl winning left tackle. That kind of quote really boils my blood, because just because you're a Super Bowl winning anything, any type of position, that does not give you a pass for anything. Let's just put context into this, because, yeah, Big V was our starting left tackle when we won the Super Bowl. But did he play lights out? No, he didn't. He played solid in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And if anyone can remember, he was still a weak link leading up to even the NFC Championship game. We were wondering if he would hold up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of when he emerged for a
Big
little bit.
V, just because he was our starting left tackle in the Super Bowl, does not give him any type of pass, does not mean he is or he should be handed the reins at left tackle. Like, I remember a few months ago, this question, one of the ATD posts was, should the Eagles let go of Jason Peters? And I was like, hell no. Like, he wants to come back. He's a Pro Bowl. He's still a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle. But then there were other people saying that no, we got Big V, we'll be fine. Nowhere has Big V shown me that he is capable of being a consistent week in, week out over the long stretch of a season, a starting caliber left tackle. I'm not even talking about Pro Bowl level left tackle. I'm talking about starting caliber left tackle. He has not shown me that level of play consistently. Is he a good backup, a rotational guy that if someone gets injured, you plug and play him in? Yeah, he's definitely that, but he hasn't shown me to be a starting level left tackle. So no, he does not get any type of pass. If Big V has that type of mindset and he goes into the season with that type of mindset, that he does not get a single pass. I don't care Super Bowl ring or not. He doesn't get any of it, because to me, he still has to show that he can play consistently enough to earn that type of to earn anything.
Well, listen to me. I mean, there's no jobs guaranteed on this team. A guy like him doesn't have a guaranteed job. If he plays like shit, he loses his job. I think that the Eagles are that kind of an organization. They'll give you every opportunity to hold your position. But if you don't play and you don't perform and you don't have the right mind frame, if you're not a part of that culture that Doug Peterson puts in, they'll find your way out the door. And
Amen.
my thing is, when you go back and you look at any of these teams that win, whether it's Tom Brady or it's the 40th guy on the roster, I don't recall many times, if any, that any of these other guys who come off of Super Bowl championships are coming out preseason and next season and making comments about how, they're not putting out 100% effort and they're kind of just coasting through, because that's not what winners do. It's you get out there, you're paid to do a job, and your job is to go out and win a championship. Your job is to go out and prepare. People talk about Jarvis Landry. We talked about what he did in that Browns locker room last week when we were discussing that. And apparently a guy like a Big V needs a conversation like that to say, listen, brother, we ain't taking no days off. We're not coasting through anything. We have a title to defend, and we have the targets on our back. We don't have the luxury of coasting and taking it easy on anything.
And the thing as well, other than the fact that, Christ, in my opinion, and we're talking, we can't put ourselves in their shoes. Obviously, no one's saying that. But if I'm a Super Bowl champion, if I won anything the year before, and the spotlight is literally on me, shouldn't that cause them to work not only the same amount, but twice as hard, because the expectations are higher, because the spotlight's bigger?
Yep.
And two, Big V, of all people, should not be even thinking about taking it lightly, taking it easy, because he's competing with Peters now. Peters isn't on the shelf anymore. The position isn't gifted to him like it was. Mm-hmm. He literally shouldn't Big V be trying to beat out Peters? That's what he should be doing. He should be, okay, well, guess what? We don't need Peters. That should be in his head if he's a true competitor. And I'm not saying that's not in his head, but it's a problem that this is.
Yeah. Yeah,
like I said,
absolutely.
I don't get crazy about what people say, because at the end of the day, I care about what goes on the football field.
Right.
But Jesus, He's kind of sucked so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you suck in the interview? Bro, reevaluate some things, my man. We have 2 weeks. Let's do a little reset. All right,
Yeah.
Big V?
Exactly. Like this isn't he doesn't get that veteran type of pass where like you have someone who has proven they've played at a high level, and then this is just like one of those like preseason gifts where they had an off night. That would be one thing. That you can be like, okay, I can understand. Like they've shown that they are capable of performing well. But Big V hasn't shown consistent tape enough in his young career. There has been more bad than good when it comes to Big V, and that's why this is it's not a huge deal, but it is like a little bit of a red flag where it's just like, Big V, you can't be thinking like this, because you of all people, considering your inconsistent play, can't afford to have that kind of mindset.
A bulk of his Eagles career, he's been labeled as a liability.
Yes.
When he went out, not only us as fans, not as analysts, but everywhere in the country, they were saying, oh, Peters is out, Big V can't get it done, they're done.
Yeah.
Going into the playoffs, oh, how are we going to protect Nick Foles? He can't move.
Yep.
Exactly.
I mean, constantly, when we brought up the few reasons why we did not believe, if, say, for example, oh, they're not winning the Super Bowl, it's because of this. We always let off with, oh, wait, Big V is there. It's not Peters, who is a
Yes.
Hall of Fame caliber
Exactly.
left tackle.
Yep.
He was always a question mark, even leading up to every game in the playoffs. He was be a question mark. You wouldn't know. You just wouldn't know with him. So, he gets no pass whatsoever from me.
Over here, real
Yeah,
quick on
we got a
YouTube.
lot. Do YouTube. We got a lot on Facebook too. I'm
Yeah.
trying to. I brought this up, which is why you heard that,
Mm-hmm.
thinking I could have half of the comment here and half of it here with that
With the
emoji.
emoji thing. Thanks, Facebook.
Still not working for me right.
Oh,
well.
God.
So we've got a few members of the fam already chiming in on YouTube. We have F Deems chiming in.
What up, F teams?
We also have Kevin2512 Belgrade, or as we call him on Wednesday nights, Kev, hashtag Kev. He was talking about the new helmet rule. I'll read that in a
horrible.
minute. F Deems did say, he says, I'm all for guys telling the truth, but the fact is that mindset is bothersome. Same with Aguilar
Yes.
and Brooks admitting they had problems with their confidence and anxiety. SJM chimes in saying, what's up, fellas? And then Kevin says, this new horrible BS new rule is going to flatline the NFL. The NFL is doomed. No defense, no tackling in the NFL. Flag football. So basically, he is not the only one that is upset with that rule, but
It's a bad direction.
Yeah,
It really
it's
is
not
for the
good.
league.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
very
not-
bad
It's
direction.
not good. All right, let me run down some Facebook. Follow with me because you're gonna have to read the long comments on your PC.
Gotcha.
David Rosca, he says hello.
hello, David.
George Palmer, he says shared to Philly Sports and more with John Jay and Guru. Thank you, sir, for
Appreciate
sharing.
that,
We appreciate
George.
that.
Thank you.
Antonio, who you were already speaking with, he says, awesome, let's get some discussion on Gibson, which we did and will continue to. You're going to have to read Greg and Frank's.
Greg says, "Oh great, you guys again."
Screw you, Greg.
What's up, my boys? Pretty soon we talk. Pretty soon we'll talk about the real damn thing. I'm gonna go Big V and not in a good way. Admittedly, I haven't watched much after the starters have left the game, but thank God the bodyguard is back at least for now. Miss you, boys. Amen to that.
Miss you, buddy.
Vespi says, "Hey yo, sorry to bother you at work. The player that has stood out to me is who? Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones. Very disappointing. Sheldon Gibson definitely stepped up. Yeah, Matt Jones. Can I'll read through the comments before I go back to that. But
I can read these.
Yeah, go ahead,
It's
go
only
ahead.
the long ones I can't read.
yeah, go ahead.
Michael DeAndre says, what do you think about the new helmet penalty? We kind of just
Yeah,
touched on
Not
it a
good,
little
Michael.
That is
not
not
good,
good.
Michael.
Update on Alshon. How long is he out for? That's from Kevin Godwin.
We don't know. Like
I don't
we,
think
I'll
they've-
check the
I
latest
don't.
thing. I'll check.
I
Yeah.
really doubt he'll be out. I don't.
Well, I heard
I'll
that
be
he might.
very
Last I heard he
shocked.
might start on the pup list.
Don't
right?
believe
Unacceptable.
that.
I'll lose my mind.
Doug P already kind of like put that aside. He was like, I don't know where that was reported, but he could miss maybe 1 or 2 games. But if he has to be on the pup because he's going to miss 6, I'll be very shocked. So maybe 1 or 2 is what I'd say.
I'll tell you what they'll do with him, Crump, to be honest. If he doesn't, and I'm not expecting him to be ready week 1, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
They're going to do exactly what they did with Wendell Smallwood all last season. Just have, the weekly inactives and just have Alshon as, maybe doubtful week 1. What's the wording, Chucks? We have doubtful, we have likely.
Doubtful, questionable.
Probable.
And no, probable is gone. And just it's like starting. Or it's out, it's out.
So that's what they'll do. They'll put him in stages until
Yeah.
he's ready to go. But no, I really don't think the pup list should have anything to do with Alshon.
No. Charles, you can read the next one.
Antonio says again, the new helmet policy. The NFL said that during the
Feels so
preseason, they would
Thanks,
call a
Facebook.
helmet-to-helmet every time, even if it's questionable. I wouldn't be surprised if the amount of flags comes down during the regular season comparatively to the preseason, which is 100% accurate. They did say that, but you still have to be worried about consistency.
I'll tell you this as well, guys. A lot of people aren't realizing. You know the big effect this is going to have on games and betting? The scores of games are going to be way up.
Yep.
Because it's going to hurt the defense. It's going to cause more 20, 30, it's going to cause more penalties that are going to march teams down the field not only easier but quicker. These scores are going to skyrocket compared to recent years.
And it's not like the frequency at which it's being called is one thing. I do think it's going to go down for the regular season. But at the same time, the wording of the rule is so gray area. There's so much like subjective interpretation to it. And I don't agree with Richard Sherman a lot, even though he is a very smart player. Like sometimes he says stuff where I just don't agree with, even though he believes it's intellectual. But what he said about the rule a few days ago was 100% accurate. Like you try to teach a defender, trying to tackle someone at full speed with all that momentum, to ask them to not lower their helmet like all the time when your neck and your head are connected to your shoulders. It's nearly impossible. Like there were calls in this past week.
Yep.
Where it's just like, what in the world are they? Like there was one call on AJ Bouye, absolutely egregious. Like
I saw that.
it was
saw that.
textbook form tackle, and he got called. Like so, I'm worried more about consistency, and like I said to you guys weeks ago, I'm worried that they're going to eject a player because they are subject to get ejected.
Mm-hmm.
If they eject a player on a borderline call, that is just absolutely unacceptable. But the wording of the rule allows for it.
Like what if that happened to Jordan Hicks, for example? It's, you know what I mean? It's like Jordan Hicks, one of your best players on defense. It's absurd to me. The two biggest things are number one, when you talk about everything being a gray area, and you're right, Chucks, because that's literally the NFL. I mean, Jesus, the catch rule for years was a gray area,
Yeah.
and everything, you're right, is based off of the person who's the referee. Everything's subjective. First of all, that's not good. Because you can have 6 games going on simultaneously. The same play can happen. Identical plays could happen in 2 different games. One could lead to nothing. The other could lead to an ejection.
Exactly.
Based off of how aggressive that field staff is.
Exactly.
Secondly, people don't understand when half of these defenders, I would argue a lot of the time, when they're lowering their head, it's not to go after the player. It's to protect themselves because they're bracing for impact.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like they're going through a car wreck.
Yeah.
It's like you're telling them you can't flinch now?
Yeah. I mean, it's one like what the proper form of a tackle is not to lead with the crown. That's obvious. Like you're not supposed to launch in with the crown of your helmet. You'll severely hurt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when you're lowering your shoulder, and even if you have your face mask up, head up, lower shoulder, your head is still going down. Yeah. And in a split
you got to
second,
figure out how to do this.
you gotta go like
you basically got to do like a Hogan flex here.
and go like this.
And buff,
Like
push it out. Flex those trap muscles.
Exactly.
That's about all you got to do. You can do.
And you're asking them to do this in a matter of a split second.
And
like that's uncomfortable, by the way.
they're going like
Just
this.
trying to keep your head back when you're lowering like this, it's hurting me right now.
Try having a helmet and pads on.
I know.
And
Exactly.
and playing in 10 degrees, running 50 miles an hour into another guy that's coming equal speed the other way.
Amen.
You're asking these guys to literally change the way they work.
Exactly.
It's like you're asking someone to be like, oh, you know how to ride a bike? No, there's a new way, so you have to relearn it in the course of a season, and you've been doing the other thing for 20-some years.
And it's super hypocritical because, for example, they do this because they talk about player safety, which is fine. I get it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to enforce, like, the egregious stuff has to be canceled out. But at the same time, if you're so worried about player safety, why do teams still play on AstroTurf? Do you realize a lot of the ACL injuries in the league today are due because of AstroTurf, and the league doesn't want to pay for the upkeep of grass fields at every single stadium?
That's why baseball got away from using AstroTurf, because guys were getting their cleats stuck in the turf, and then were tearing ACLs, were ripping ankles up, and everything else.
Exactly.
It's not even just the injuries. It's playing on that surface alone that does more wear and tear on your knees, to the point to where it's almost like with Chase Utley, you're rubbing bone on bone. You have no cartilage left because you're constantly – it's like hitting cement.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the real there's not much padding under AstroTurf.
Yeah.
So it's absurd that any sport has anybody play on AstroTurf.
Yeah, it's laziness and it's hypocritical. But that's a league for you, and it's a shame. It's really a shame.
I can't read any of the next ones.
Deion
I'm
Brown.
like useless. I can
Play
sit,
Facebook.
I'm here to sit and drink water, guys.
Deion Brown says, "What's up, fellas? For me, it is a progression of Sheldon Gibson thus far. We haven't really seen Matt Jones too often thus far. Cleveland game, he have more of a bigger role along with Josh Adams, who I'm excited to see more of. We talked about Antonio's post. Kevin Godwin says, Eagles are next man up. If Vitae shows up late, lazy play, and gets comfortable, they will work around him, and there is someone hungrier than he is," which is exactly right.
I agree. As far as Matt Jones goes, I will say I'm disappointed with him, because I really thought that he was going to be a guy that was going to come in and take a stranglehold on one of the on that fourth spot.
A month ago, when Paulie was still here, I thought that Matt Jones was going to win the position by default, because Josh Adams was still nursing an injury.
Right.
Pumphrey is Pumphrey, and Smallwood, we know what Smallwood is. He's nothing special. But, guys, can I just say, I don't think I've ever been more pissed off over a preseason game than I was watching Matt Jones, week 2 in the third quarter, with those dropped passes left and right. Let it
out, Shucks. Just let it out. Just let it out, buddy.
Absolutely egregious. I do not want to get a big head right now. But if I had to run, if I was running that route, I've run it so many times in flag football, okay? And I know it's flag football versus pro football, but all it is a wheel route. You run a wheel route. A wheel route is one of a running back's favorite routes. Matt Jones runs a wheel route.
Matt Jones' favorite route.
The ball is right there. The ball is right there.
It's there.
And he just doesn't catch it in stride, and then it leads to an interception. Like, what the hell? And then the other 2 drops were absolutely egregious. He's just going out. He's the check down. He's going out, middle of the field, right in the box, turns around. He is the check down. He is not moving. He is not running. He is standing there staring at Nate Sudfeld, going like this. I'm here if you need me. Nate Sudfeld goes through all of his progressions, checks it down, boom, right through his hands. Like, what the hell is that? I have never been so mad watching a preseason game than watching Matt Jones. All right? I said that in there. I was like, he better not make this damn team. Just because of that one quarter of play, he better not make this team.
I don't think he's going to make the team.
I can't stand it.
Well, you know what's funny?
He's gonna.
At the beginning of the show, when I was going to answer the poll question, I said there's 2 main categories with concern. It's Vitae, and there's another one that I knew we would get into later. And it was a little bit of a cheat, so I didn't say it. Yeah. The standout thing to me is, does anyone want to play running back? Does anyone want to play running back? Because I know we have a Jai who I still think should be stuck in the cryogenic chamber, and I don't want to see him preseason. But constantly we're putting him out there because why the hell not? Here you go. Like with you with the Matt Jones, it's me with the Jai. Put him in the chamber. I don't want to see him until September.
I am surprised that he was playing. A lot of people were surprised that he was playing.
I'm not surprised. I'm disgusted. It's absolutely – it's on that. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Do we need him to learn the ropes?
Yeah.
He's been on a football field before. He knows the offense.
I don't know.
We have Corey Clement. We have Darren Sproles.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Wendell, anything? Matt, anything? Josh? Pumphrey, I know you're not going to get on a football field. There's 4 guys. Does anyone want to play football?
None of them.
Come on, what are we doing?
At this point, I say keep 3 running backs.
I saw your post.
Keep 3
I agree.
Because it's not because I don't think it would be awesome to have 4 because of the injury concerns that you have with Ajayi. Then Sproles is getting older. I get it. But the thing is, all of them are projected to still be there week 1. So start the season, start it with 3 running backs because none of them deserve to be that 4th running back. None of them have done anything worth of earning that fourth running back spot. So if none of them have earned it, give it to someone else in another position that can contribute on special teams or somewhere where it actually is being productive. That fourth running back spot, honestly, I don't care. Like, the only person that you can say, like, that I could be okay with is if Josh Adams starts to play well. Then I'll be like, okay, give it to Josh Adams. But if he can't stay on the field, put him on the practice squad.
Redshirt.
Redshirt him. Put him on the practice squad. Because none of them have done anything to warrant them you saying, like, okay, you deserve the fourth spot. No, you're giving it to someone by default at this point. We're just like, all right, like, we don't know who else to give it to. No, give it to someone else in another position.
And let me ask you this then, Chucks. Is it the official end of the Pumphrey era? Is this it?
Yeah, I've said it since the beginning of the preseason.
Okay.
I was like, listen,
You poor guy.
when the first week of training camp started, and there were reports that he was playing really well and he was in the lead for the fourth spot, I said, like, that's good, but he's got to play.
Yeah.
He's got to show it in the games. I think I even said it on the show. I'm like, he's got to show it in the games. But what happens is the first preseason game? He gets hurt. He doesn't even play. And I said then and there, I'm like, if he does not play like these 3 final games, he's done. Because you cannot rely on him.
No, you can't.
He's done. And he hasn't. So it's going to take an absolute miracle for him to – like, I don't even think it's even possible for him to make the team, to be honest.
I mean,
He's
if
not
I'm
dependable.
going through, Pumphrey's going to get cut. I think Jones is going to get cut. I think they'll redshirt Adams.
Yeah.
And I think Smallwood's going to end up making the
Me
team.
too.
It's
Me
so
too.
disgusting.
I think that
It's so
Smallwood's
disgusting.
Of all of them, though, would you say Smallwood's probably made at least somewhat of a case compared to the rest of them?
No, you know what the case is, Chrome? He's been on the team for 3 years.
I know.
That's his case.
And he's on the field.
And he's been healthy.
And he's actually made it to
Yeah.
the field without the chamber.
Yeah, it disgusts me, though, because there was that one play. I don't know if you remember.
I'd bet
was a-
everything on it right now that Wendell
That
Smallwood's
Wendell
gonna make
Smallwood?
that-
Me too.
that
There
team.
was a third down play where they checked it to him in the flat. He had 2 yards to go to make the first down, and one defender in front of him that he had to make miss, but he couldn't do it. And that's been my gripe about Wendell Smallwood's game, is that when he gets into the open field, he doesn't make defenders miss. He's not elusive and he's not powerful. Like, he can do everything at like an average level. Like, he can do a little bit of pass blocking, a little bit of returning, a little bit of catching, a little bit of running, but that's it. And he's been on the field, which is more to say than what he has shown to been in the past couple years. But like, if he's going to make the team as a fourth running back, that's just disgusting. To me, it's disgusting.
We've got a lot of comments and questions on the YouTube. You guys want me to fly through?
Yeah,
them
yeah,
real quick?
fly through him.
Go
Yeah.
So
through it,
a lot of comments on Josh Adams, obviously the running back position. We have SJM saying, well, first off, he was saying Qualls and Smallwood are hugely disappointing.
Yes.
F Deem says Josh has been hurt though. Josh will stand out. Just watch. He also said Matt
He
Jones
looked good in
flat
the
out
first-
stinks.
Yeah, Adams did run well the first preseason game, so he is right there. Yeah.
Going back to the turf, F Deem said 26 ACL tears on turf so far.
Yep. Something like that.
God.
Yeah, it's really bad.
F
really
Deems
bad.
does say, will Adams get by waivers? Hugh said he doesn't believe so.
He will.
SJM said Adams might get by waivers if he's still banged up.
Yeah.
Hugh says Adams is going to make the team. Not that serious. Smallwood, Pumphrey, and Jones have worked their way out. Before Adams has earned the fourth spot. SJM says Smallwood makes it due to special teams, but I won't be surprised if he's cut early. Well, here's the thing with the special teams thing. He's shown in the past he can't handle special teams. That's why we had to get freaking Kenyon Barner last season.
Yep.
Because Smallwood wasn't ready for it.
Yep.
We also have SJM saying Eagles will keep 4 running backs. Josh Adams will make the team. And then we have Todd Womack chiming in saying Philly Dilly guys.
Philly
going on,
Dilly, what up, Todd?
I hope Adams makes the team. I really do. I like the way he ran in the first game.
I'd rather
He's just gotta-
it be the young guy, give him a chance to earn his stripes.
Amen.
Yeah, I know what
100%
Smallwood is.
agree.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Dion?
I can't read half of them,
Yeah.
so
He
most
says,
of them, actually.
let's see, hold on.
Chrome,
Trying
you'll
to remember.
appreciate this. I have I guess because I'm an admin, I'm on the stream on Facebook. It's asking me, do you want to attach the name of a politician on your thing?
No.
It's like, no, this is a sports show. Facebook, fix your chat.
Outta here with that.
Chris S. Wright says family. Michael
Yeah,
DeAndre
man.
says, so it looks like Wentz is trying to play the first week. When you all think we can start the Wentz chants, I think we already started them.
2 weeks ago.
Lower the helmet is a natural reaction.
Yep.
Going to be really hard to not do it. Amen.
Amen.
Dion Brown says, the NFL should just turn into flag football league.
It will.
We have no idea what's a tackle in the league nowadays. I see it another way to find players for doing what they've been taught to do since little league play. It's just confusing. Amen. That's how you. Couldn't have said it any better. Dean Jones says Clement is the future. We'll see about that. To me, I've said it before. He's like a good complementary back, but I don't know if he has potential to be a starting back. I hope so, because that'd be awesome. But
He
well,
has,
I have to
he
see.
has
I
the
have to see it
potential.
first.
He has the potential for it.
Hunter Shannon added Sheldon Gibson.
Sheldon Gibson. Yep, another surprise.
See, Antonio likes Pump too. He
Does
asked,
he?
"Where's Pump at?"
He did. Pump's gone.
Yeah, Pump's not available.
Pump's gone.
Pump's he's gone now.
He's gone
He's done.
now.
He's done.
Yeah. So talking about let's talk specifically now about Nate Sudfeld and the quarterbacks.
Sure.
We got one in week 2. We had Foles started. Okay, Foles started.
I'll be fair. I didn't watch a whole lot of that because we were on the air with Birds of a
Oh yeah,
with
yeah. I
Lazy
figured.
Bucky.
Yeah.
But I will say what I saw from Sudfeld in Game 1. It definitely started out with the here we go with Sudfeld all over again. But I thought he actually calmed down after that first drive and he threw that pick. I thought he played pretty decently.
He did.
He made some pretty good decisions with the football, and I thought that he did what I would have expected a guy at his in his position to play and earn his spot. I guess as the third string quarterback.
I think
Thought
that
he played well.
You know what? Also, Sudfeld has a really pretty deep ball. Like
He's got a pretty good arm.
He's
He does
got
have
a pretty
arm.
good arm, and that's why I think he could develop into a backup. Like he has a good arm.
It drives me nuts because they almost talk like this kid could be the future of a team.
I know.
Like that's why I think
No.
I'm so like anti Nate Sudfeld at this point because they make him out to be so much more. And listen, I mean, maybe they know more than we do, but I know what I'm saying. I know what we all talk about what we're saying. I absolutely think he could be a very strong backup quarterback for a team.
Yes.
For this team behind Carson Wentz
that's how
once
they
Nick
feel.
Foles
That'd be
moves
great.
along.
That would be great.
That's
yeah.
what I mean. You
But-
just said that's their plan.
Right,
That's what
but
they're
they
gonna do.
just talk about this kid like he could go to an organization and be a
No.
franchise quarterback.
No.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
No.
that's
like,
a little.
let's come back down to earth
Yeah,
a little
no.
bit.
Now I will say
I want
this.
him to believe that. I want him to have that confidence that he
Yes.
could step in and do that. But let's not try to sell a bag of goods to everybody.
Yeah, that's not.
I agree with you. Now, I will say I see signs of what they're talking about,
Sure.
like with the deep
Oh,
ball,
yeah.
with how he is
It's
smooth
pretty.
at times.
It's very
now,
pretty.
I think he's trying to overmanage games. I think he's trying to show a little too much, kind of what Wentz did, especially in the middle part of his rookie year, where
Okay.
he didn't have anything to work with. He tried to pretty much do everything by himself. I think he definitely needs to learn, obviously, like Carson did, where that's not necessary whatsoever. The plan with him, they want him to be the guy when Foles walks away next season.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
And that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. They're going to talk him up. Maybe they might be talking him up to try and get a trade. Too.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why they could do it. To your point, they could be saying that for his own self-confidence, because how else can you give self-confidence to a third stringer who you're behind an MVP caliber quarterback and a Super Bowl MVP? So it could be an ego boost as well.
Yeah.
Sudfeld, I mean, he wasn't a disgrace, and when you're looking at a third-string quarterback in preseason when he doesn't have anything else around him,
Yeah.
that's all you can really ask for.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, with that being said, I don't want to see him once this season.
No, me neither.
I'm just
No,
gonna
me
end it
neither.
with
Me
that.
neither.
Dean Jones says, I can read these guys.
Yay.
Dean Jones says, I worry that they're using kit gloves with Wentz. He says, usually not a good sign. Hunter Shannon says, Sudfeld has an arm, but he's not accurate.
Yeah, and he has a problem with
Fair point.
with mental processing after the snap. Like when it's pre-snap, he'll be able to read the defenses, and hence why he takes deep shots. Because if he sees, for example, if he sees single safety, he knows, okay, Gibson, go. go route, go. And that's what week 1. That's what happened in that first touchdown, is he saw single high safety and he said, "All right, I'm taking a deep shot." The thing is, after the snap, he still has issues with processing the disguised coverages or what happens after that, and that's why you see some of these picks where he's not on the same page with his receivers, is because he's still slow to adjust to and go through his progressions accordingly. So that's still his weakness. And yes, accuracy, ball placement is still an issue when it comes to like those intermediate to short routes, is that he doesn't always hit the receivers in the right ball placement where they are running in stride on, like, for example, on a crossing route. Like he has to hit them in stride so that they can still be running, get yards after the catch. But he still has shown inconsistency with that. So that's definitely right. He has to still work on accuracy and just still processing post snap. But I mean, with Foles, he didn't look good, regardless of what starters he was missing. Like when you watched him, or at least when I watched him, the ball did not look the same. His throwing just did not look the same as it did when he was in the Super Bowl. Like he looked like he was struggling mechanically. There wasn't the same type of zip on the ball, and he just was. Accuracy was off. Accuracy was way off, and timing was off. Like he just did not look good, and it makes you wonder. Like he did have that injury, but it makes you wonder with Carson Wentz now coming back doing 11 on 11s, and Sudfeld showing signs. Does that change your mindset about, okay, if we get a good offer, should we trade Foles? Like that, is it to that point where?
Well, so it doesn't change my mindset because I've said all along, if we get a good offer, we trade Foles.
Yep.
I think at this point, and it's only preseason.
Yeah.
But the luxury you had in the offseason was the last memory that everybody had was him holding a Super Bowl trophy over his head. Now he's been on a field, and he has not looked good. Even in a small sample size, that's the last impression now he's left on a football field. So now the doubt comes in, as opposed to last year where it's Nick Foles is a guy who could probably go to a team and he could lead a team, in the regular season as an everyday quarterback or an every week quarterback.
Yeah.
Now the doubting creeps in, and it says, is he the guy in the Super Bowl, or is he the guy in the preseason, or somebody in between? I think it hurts his trade value.
True.
So I think you hold on to him for the time being.
F-Team says Foles is like J.R. Smith. He'll show you greatness for a stretch, but other times he comes down to earth and looks meh. No, man, I agree with you, Chrome. I've been saying all along, since the offseason began, I said I'm not going out as an Eagles fan, or as I'm not going out as Doug Peterson. Everybody saying, we want to trade Nick Foles. He's officially available. No, because we have Carson Wentz, who's obviously coming back from injury. But if there's an offer on the table, I'm like, okay, all right, well, let's figure it out.
Yep.
To answer your question, on, could he trade Nick Foles? Do you want them to trade Nick Foles? That whole thing. A couple factors needed to happen for this to come up.
Yeah.
I would say if Sudfeld looked great, or at least very, very good in his showings, I would say there's a very good shot Foles would be traded. Even if Sudfeld didn't look great, but he showed enough to say, okay, he's consistent. He's not going to have the big moments and the absolute hideous moments, which he's shown. He's shown a lot of good, a lot of suck, not really much in between, to be honest, which is not going to be good enough against the Falcons week 1, and I could argue against any team when you're going up against starters. So with that being said, Sudfeld hasn't looked good enough for me to be like, okay, Sudfeld, you're our backup option if Wentz isn't ready, even for a week, even for a quarter. I can't say that about Sudfeld.
Right.
Also, this factor leads to Wentz possibly being back beforehand, and I'm not saying, this will cause the Eagles to rush back Wentz. I'm not saying that. But if Foles looked great, or even very, very good, or even showed signs of what he did, and obviously we're going to see him this Thursday, so that can completely flip.
Everything could flip, right?
If he shows that, that could make it easier for the Eagles and the doctors to be like, okay, even if we consider Wentz ready to go week 1, it won't be disastrous if we're like, okay, to be certain, let's target week 2. Or it could be a game time decision week 1. If Foles sucks throughout the entire preseason, or if he gets banged up again or whatever, that leads to the Wentz thing happening sooner.
Sure.
And again, like I'm saying, it's not rushing. It just comes down to what's the best option. And if you have Sudfeld, who isn't good enough to replace Foles, if you have Nick Foles, who's banged up and not ready to replace Wentz, you might have to put Wentz in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, for me, I mean, Nick Foles' trade value will never be as high as it was this entire offseason.
Might have already taken a hit.
What he does, because I don't see him being the guy holding the Super Bowl trophy over his head as an MVP again.
No.
And that's not a knock on him.
Nope.
It's just what happened was such a wonderful chance happening for him and to be able to go out and play at that level. But no matter where he goes, if he's starting somewhere, it's probably not going to be for high contender.
Yeah.
He's going to start somewhere, or he's going to be a backup, as he was here, to a guy who is, one of the top quarterbacks, or a guy who's leading a team for a potential playoff push. The luxury you had was that lasting impression.
Yeah.
And once he put foot on the football field, his value immediately, regardless of what he did, even if he played great, his value is not as high as it was with the lasting impression holding a trophy over his head.
I'll ask you guys. I'll ask you guys this, because I meant to ask it last week. So, say for example, let's throw a scenario into where Foles has to start for the first 3 weeks. Okay, for the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Let's just say 3 weeks of the season. Okay,
Foles has to start. Okay.
He struggles. Say we go 1 and 2 to start. Does that change your opinion of the overall landscape of Nick Foles? Do you believe that changes? Because right now, like you said, lasting impressions. When you talk about last time we saw him on a football field with a trophy, last time we saw him, a parade, a book tour. 3 games after a Super Bowl, when you're on top of the planet, now you start out 1 and 2 and you struggle.
It doesn't change it for me just because I like to think I'm a realist. Last year was amazing. I think he's better than he showed prior to his return to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. But realistically speaking, and that's why people who go out there and talk about that Foles is the greatest quarterback in this organization's history, people who go out there and say he should be starting over Wentz, it's a joke. The reality is Nick Foles is a good quarterback, could potentially, and depending on the system, be a better than average quarterback. I think he's better than probably. I think he's probably in 20 to 25 in quarterbacks in the league
20
right now.
Probably.
But if you're looking at 20 quarterbacks that are better than him, he's not that's all playoff guys that are well above him. To me, he's a guy that can be good as a really good backup, a strong backup, and a guy that can step in and win you football games. The difference is, I think better of him because he's gone in and stepped in the biggest football games against the biggest team in the last 25 years and been able to do it, or 20 years.
But it has to, the other caveat, I agree 100% with everything you said. Just to add on to it, a big caveat to that is he also needs the right system. Is because
Which I said, system thing.
Yeah. So, because, remember how much Doug Peterson had to change and adjust in this offense to make him comfortable? The whole storyline was, what can we do to make Nick Foles comfortable? What is going to get him into a rhythm? And it kind of did after the first quarter of the Vikings game. Mm-hmm. That's when you start to really see him let it loose and really hit his stride. And it lasted long enough for us to win the Super Bowl. But, again, a lot of that is because of Doug Peterson. Because of the game planning, the coaches putting him in the right spots to maximize his strengths. And it was the whole team stepping up. It really still bugs me that you get people who will say, Nick Foles won us a Super Bowl. And I get it. I get how you're saying that the quarterback it's the quarterback, but at the same time, no, he did not win us the Super Bowl. The Eagles as a team won the Super Bowl. The Eagles as a team defeated Tom Brady and the Patriots. That's how it works. So I agree with everything you said, Chrome. I think that when it comes to Nick Foles, and if he were to start 1-2, my opinion of him wouldn't change because it is exactly what he said. I've always seen Nick Foles as what he is. But I think that it would hit a good number of fans in the city hard because they're still on that cloud 9 when it comes to him, and they think so much of him that is not entirely correct.
Now for me, my opinion of him would not change either because if he were to start 1-2 in the first 3 games of this season, even after what he did last season in the playoffs, obviously Super Bowl, he would completely sum up what I've been labeling him as all season. I labeled him as 2 things. Number 1, and people got mad at me for saying this, but it's true, especially now. I said 3 months ago? I said he is the most interesting security blanket in the history of the NFL. He's a security blanket. If Wentz isn't hurt, you trade him. You don't think about trade. You know what I mean? You do not think about that. If it was a banged up injury where Wentz would be out for a month, but he would not miss any time, he's gone. It's not a question. He's absolutely gone. So that's number 1. When you just talk about Nick Foles as a whole, in my opinion, he's one of the most interesting quarterback prospects I've ever seen because he's a guy, week in and week out, he can show up and have a floor like Nathan Peterman, but can have a ceiling of a guy who beats out Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it can literally come in back-to-back weeks.
The variance, yeah. You're talking about his variance of play, yes.
I've seen streaky quarterbacks, I've seen streaky players, but someone to that degree where there's so far polar opposites between you're bad and you're great, that's Nick Foles to me.
Yep.
And that's the reason why he falls in if it's not a 15-20 in your overall quarterback rankings, it's a 20-25.
Yeah.
Because he can suck for most part. You almost have him retire after, he's in St. Louis, and then after he was in Kansas City. Or you can have a guy who flat out takes over the Minnesota game and beats out Tom Brady. And you just don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah.
We got a lot on Facebook.
Facebook,
right?
yeah.
Read that Facebook.
Tom Ford, hold on.
Freezy.
Hold on. I missed a couple others. Where did you leave off? Dean Jones had said, "Wow, Foles getting no love here. Foles look better than Luck." LOL.
That's true.
Deion Brown says, "I'm still confident Foles can hold it down week 1 if Carson isn't cleared." Then Tom Ford says, "He's not good though. He had 10 good quarters." Dean Jones says, "If a starter or 2 go down early, Foles will get you at least a second-round pick still." That's possible.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely possible.
I don't think you're going to get more than a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah. Antonio
Depends on the team.
At
It
this
depends
point,
on the
that's
team.
fine.
Desperation, maybe.
Yeah.
Antonio says, "Here's a question. Say Foles plays lights out for the first games, completely demolishes teams. Wentz gets healthy. Do you pull a Foles who's on fire, streak to throw Wentz back in?
You play Carson
Hold
Wentz.
off until Foles cools down. Yes, you put Wentz back
Carson
in.
Wentz is your franchise quarterback. It is
Done.
not Nick Foles.
Exactly.
When your franchise quarterback is good to go, 100% and healthy, we've seen what he can do in there on a very consistent basis. You go and
he was
go
the MVP
Carson
of the
Wentz.
league.
And I can guarantee you, if you ask Nick Foles, should he sit down when Carson Wentz comes back, Nick Foles will tell you yes.
Yep. Deion Brown says, "Nick Foles is a slow starter. Coaching shouldn't have him coming out throwing the ball 12 times even before they hand the rock off to the running backs. Let Nick get into the flow by getting his backs involved early." Has to do with system and play calling.
That's fair.
Dean Jones then asks, "Who's the second most important person on your team?" He says St. Nick. I disagree. I think it's the O-line. Then you could even go Cox.
I would say Lane Johnson, then Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
That's my top 3 after Wentz.
The line is very, very important.
I think Zach Ertz is very important too.
He's had a good
go-to
camp,
man,
too.
no matter who the quarterback is. That's correct. He is the go-to guy. He's arguably the number 1 passing option. That's true.
Paul Strager just says...
I would agree with that. Best backup that we could ask for. Nobody's
100%.
disputing
No,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You hit the nail right on the head. Best backup that anyone could ask for.
Yes.
And am I confident am I confident he'll be fine if he has to come in? Absolutely. We've seen him do what we needed him to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him have to play a game this year.
Yeah, me neither.
And
Me
that's
neither.
not a knock on Nick Foles. It's because Carson Wentz is our future quarterback. And I want to see Carson Wentz 100% healthy on the field, playing 16 games, ending the playoffs, and winning MVPs
Exactly.
like he should have done last year.
Exactly.
You know what's funny, though, Karim? And I understand what you're saying, how Wentz is our future quarterback. We shouldn't even label him as that anymore.
He's our present quarterback.
He
He
is.
is our
He's not our
quarterback.
future quarterback. He is our quarterback.
He is our quarterback.
He's our guy.
Yep. Real quick before we go to break, I just want to also touch on Sidney Jones. Bleeding Green Nation came out with an article today where it showed PFF grades on who's been our best and worst Eagles so far in the preseason. You know how I feel about PFF grades, and they said that Sidney Jones has been one of our best ones. I will say that I completely disagree with that. I think he's been hit or miss. I think he's been okay. I think he's shown signs of, those flashes of, he can be really good, but he's also shown signs of he's still getting up to speed. He's still getting his playing legs under him. He's still learning a lot. So I don't agree with him being one of the better players on the team so far.
I think he's going to take his lumps, but I feel like he's fine. I liked what I've seen when we've seen those flashes. It's very, very encouraging.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at with him. You know, I'm looking more towards the future, and I think he's going to develop in strides big time this year as the season goes on.
I think you're really going to see him play consistently well halfway through the season. I think the halfway mark is when you're going to see him really hit some sort of stride, whether it's in the nickel or wherever he plays in secondary. I think that's
and listen,
realistic.
while we have the depth at defensive back that we do have this year, because next year that starts to go away when contracts start going up. This is the year you have the luxury, particularly in that first half of the season, to use him in successful situations and let him build his own rhythm.
I will say this with Sidney Jones. Once he gets his first big game, that's it.
Yep.
He's gone. It's like you wind him up and you let him fly. Once he has one, I could argue once he has one interception.
Yep.
Done.
Absolutely. Thank you for our Facebook fam and our Periscope fam for joining us. We're going to jump over to the YouTube. We're going to take a very short break because we are condensing the show a little bit this week. We're going to probably go till 8:30, 8:40-ish. We'll be off by at least 8:40 or at the latest. But anyway, second half of the show, we're going to talk Browns and Eagles. We're going to do a short preview of that. We're going to do no huddle. We'll continue to talk whatever else you guys want to talk about. First half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, Gibson Mayer. And Scanzano Sports with our poll question. We'll check it. Click the link at the top of the page, guys. That's where you can get to us on YouTube for the second half. Me, Charles, Ryan, we'll see you guys on the other side. Welcome back, guys. Second half of Birds of a Feather, exclusively here on YouTube, live on A2D Radio from the Real Talk Studios. Chrome, Chucks, Brian
Yep.
Brodo. Mister, I nicknamed myself over there.
The bro.
The bro.
The bro.
Uh,
That is the best nickname ever.
Isn't it?
Second half of the show brought to you by StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question. As we talked about in the first half, which player has stood out to you the most halfway through the preseason, positively, negatively? We had Sheldon Gibson, Ronald Darby, Matt Jones, Big V. We went in depth on pretty much all four of them. If you jumped over from Facebook and Periscope over to YouTube, we appreciate it. YouTube fam that stayed with us, we appreciate you guys as always. Love talking to the fam. Second half, we were going to talk a little bit of Eagles-Browns preseason game coming up this week. Charles, why don't you kick us off? Where you want to go with it, brother?
So, what I'm looking forward to, actually, and it's funny, we were talking about Big V, and it's significant because, what's his name? Jason Peters is not going to be playing. I think the group of players who aren't going to be playing are Ajayi, Alshon, Aguilar, Graham, of course Wentz, Peters, and I feel like I'm missing one or two more. But they're not going to be playing, so Big V will get the start. I really want to see how he bounces back because he is most likely going to be going up against Myles Garrett. And Myles Garrett has been having one heck of a preseason. So that's going to be very interesting to see that matchup. Hopefully Foles, because Foles will start too. Hopefully Foles and Nate Sudfeld don't get killed on their blind side. But yeah, if Vitae wants to get back into the good graces of us,
Good week to do it.
Here's your chance, Big V. You got to hold your own. He's not going to be able to completely stop Myles Garrett. Let's put that out there. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. He is one of my picks for players who could be Defensive Player of the Year this year, and he's had a great, like I said already, had a great preseason. You're not going to be able to completely stop him, but it's going to be interesting to see how he can hold up, during the course of the game.
Sure. Yeah, now I'm going to be interested. We were talking about is Josh Gordon going to play? Probably not. But
Probably not, yeah.
I'd love to see it because I want to
know.
see how he looks on the
I
field.
know.
He's such an explosive player, and I know we had the conversation. I was in the Real Talk group earlier. I think it came up about
Chris Carter's quote.
Saying,
quote
that he's one of the best wide receivers of the last 20 years. I absolutely 100% agree with that.
Physically, like in terms of just physical talent.
When you talk about the talent, the physical makeup of him, when his head is on straight, I absolutely believe that he is one of the most talented wide receivers to step on a football field of the last 20 years. One of the only guys I think that could take 2 or 3 years off for being out of the league or whatever, because every time you turn around, he was, suspended and be able to step right back on and be elite easily. And I'll be interested to see what that Cleveland offense is going to look like. Obviously not, I don't think we're going to see it this week, but going forward, with Baker Mayfield and with guys like Jarvis Landry and Josh Brown to throw the football to. I think the future is bright for Cleveland. So I'm going to be excited to see that and see kind of just some of their young talent and how that's progressed.
Our secondary is definitely going to have to match. It's going to be another good matchup for our secondary because, believe it or not, they do have talent at wide receiver.
Sure.
Obviously, like you said, Jarvis Landry, who has been playing on the outside a little bit more, which is surprising, but it's also very interesting because he hasn't proven to be able to do that, like, at a high level. Now, like, was part of it because of the coaching staff in Miami is very possible. So he's been wanting to get the opportunity on the outside. So Mills and Darby are going to get their, have their shot at him. And also the rookie wide receiver who's supposed to be the reason why they let go of Corey Coleman and traded him away, Antonio Callaway. He had that one week one, was it week one? I think it was week one. That long touchdown where took the slant to the house, that was a great play. So he's another one to watch for in the matchup. See how our cornerbacks do against those that talented duo. And Njoku, So our safeties and linebackers are going to have their hands full because Njoku's been playing well. They've been the Brown and like you said Mayfield. His pocket presence and ability and his footwork and just overall technique. And I'm sure one of the people that be able to tell you that is probably his biggest supporter on the station is Tom.
Absolutely.
Tom has been preaching it, and he's correct. Like Baker Mayfield's pocket awareness and footwork and just his mechanics are so on point. Like he's like 6 foot ish, but with the way he plays, it really doesn't matter because he moves around the pocket so well, and like he's just so mechanically sound and a good natural thrower of the football. And you can just see it. Like your eyes just tell you it. So I'm eager to see our matchup against him too. And then for the defensive side, the rookie Ward has played well. I wish I could see that matchup with him and like Aguilar, that type of matchup. But I mean Wallace will be out there, so you can keep an eye on that. But on the defensive side, it's probably him and Myles Garrett are the ones I'll be looking out for the most for the defense and seeing how our offense can match up against them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, it comes back to the same things. You know, on the Eagles side of the football, it all comes down to I want to see one of these four. I want to see one of these options at running back show something. Okay, I don't want us to have to talk about in weeks, following. Oh, we're going to have to sign one of these guys by default, or, because none of them showed me anything, we're going to have to go with a 3 running back set. No. In the professional football league, that is the NFL, you have 4 guys going after one position. I understand Pumphrey's hurt. I understand there's some health, reasons for some of these guys. It doesn't matter at this point, okay? I would like to see one of these running backs step up, whether it's small. I don't care who it is. If you're able to play, that's good because some of the guys you're going up against can't even do that right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, sure, I would love if a Matt Jones, a Josh Adams, even a Pumphrey was leading the spot to get this. It's not. It's Wendell Smallwood. And I'm not thrilled about that because I know exactly who Wendell Smallwood is.
He is what he is.
But at the end of the day, if he shows us something that proves to all of us that, hey, I am deserving to be on this squad, then by all means, I won't complain. Just somebody do something.
Yeah.
Besides that, when we talk about Nick Foles, like I said, I just want to see signs going forward. I understand it's preseason. I understand it's early. I agree with Dion from earlier. He does get off to slow starts. I get that. That's fine. Just show us signs, please. That way this fan base isn't going to have to panic whether or not, oh, my God, we have to rush back Wentz, or, oh, my God, Nick Foles is starting. What are we going to do? I just want to see him progress. Most importantly, stay healthy. This goes under the category of everybody, obviously, because I've been very vocal about this. I don't like preseason whatsoever.
Me neither.
It needs to be 2 weeks at the most. So my main goal heading into a preseason, aside from players I'm watching, everybody please stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they would do 2 or 3 games preseason and then add 1 regular season game. That would be fine with me.
Yeah.
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 Even cut 1 game out totally and do 2 preseason games and add 1 more regular season game would be great with me.
The thing is with that is because of CBA, the owner it's going to be tough for the owners and the players.
It won't happen.
It will never happen.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like not to switch sports, but it's kind of my whole belief of like Major League Baseball, to where I believe they should cut a month off of it and start Memorial Day weekend. It'll never happen, but in some cases it should happen. It just falls under that category.
Yeah.
See, I love Major League Baseball. I would hate to see them cut that out. I love every game of it.
I
can't get enough of it.
I love it as well. I just think because of the attention spans of many, we have to understand a lot of fans aren't like us. Like, there's a lot of casual fans out there. I think
spring training runs too long.
Maybe.
I feel like when they do the split squads and all that different, and I know this is a totally separate conversation, but
Sorry,
I just feel like when they
it's all good.
when they do split squads the way that they do, and they'll send an A team and a B team, they could do so much more of that and get the same kind of playing opportunities in and cut 2 weeks out of spring training.
I just think with this day and age in sports,
game-wise, I'm talking game-wise.
Yeah.
Still report and do your workouts and all that stuff. I don't think we need to have that many live games. It's just
no. I understand that. The reason why I believe And like I said, they'll never do it. So it's
Right.
a
Exactly.
non-issue. I believe Memorial Day weekend would be great as an
Sure.
opening of the season. Number
Sure.
one, especially as we know because of our Eagles, when spring training was happening, we're still talking about the Eagles. Or, oh, by the way, there's a league called the NBA that are just getting started with their playoffs in the end. So, unfortunately, the way the MLB is right now, they fall third behind the NFL and the NBA at the moment, to where not only do I think it would help out with the product and attention spans, let's just talk about delays and cancellations of games due to weather, et cetera. So I feel like a lot of that falls in that month and a half window at the beginning of the season, which then causes a lot of stagnant schedule changes later in seasons that could hurt some players, obviously. So that's my only opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Back to football, though, Chucks.
But
Chuck's and his ADD's kicking in.
a little bit. No, it's fine. I completely agree about the running backs. I think this is the time because I
Big
think
week
now
for them.
Adams. It was supposed to only be Smallwood and Matt Jones playing, but Adams did say also when the reporters interviewed him that he is healthy now and the plan is for him to play. So that'll be huge. Like I hope he play. If he plays like he did week 1, job's his, in my opinion. Job's his. But I really want to see that. And I don't know who's going to get first team reps. I would guess it's going to be Smallwood. I would think so. I would think Smallwood. Then I think they'll transition into hopefully Josh Adams and then Matt Jones to finish it off. But I think that's definitely a position to watch. I already said cornerbacks. Linebacker, the weak side linebacker that we never talked about. We haven't barely talked about it again. Like, remember how we always said Corey Nelson, and then Paulie would bring up Nick Gary. It's been Kamu Grugier-Hill, who's been
The kicker?
the
Yeah,
linebacker slash
yeah,
kicker.
I know.
He's been getting first team,
Yeah.
and to be honest, he's been playing better than the other two.
Yep.
Like he's for your will linebacker, your weak side linebacker in a base defense, you want that linebacker because he's playing in space. You want him to be flying all over the field, and that's what Kamu's been doing. Like he's the skinny on him, like in terms of scouting report, is he's a fast linebacker. That's the one thing that jumps out of him. He's fast. Well, he's definitely using that speed, and I think that's gone a long way into him kind of putting himself in the lead for that starting will linebacker spot. If he plays well again this game, the job's his, surprisingly. Do I think that over the course of the season it'll stay his? It's possible it doesn't. Maybe one of the other guys play their way into that role, but I mean right now it looks like it's going to be Kamu's. So, anything else for a matchup or this preview this Thursday?
No,
It's
sir.
Cool.
Preseason, I think you just try
yeah.
to see, like we said, I think the running backs and Nick Foles is what I'm going to be most interested on our end. And I'm just going to be excited to see a little bit of Baker Mayfield and see what they can do over there.
It'll be the first time you and I get a chance to watch it live, to be
Yeah.
honest, because we've been doing the stuff on
There
Thursdays.
you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. So, no huddle.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Do you want to lead off, Chrome, or you want me to?
Yeah, I could lead off.
Go ahead.
Well, congratulations to Phillies fans, because we finally, after years and years and years of dealing with the Washington Nationals basically leading the division, you kind of saw the dismantling start to happen today. Daniel Murphy traded to the Cubs. Matt Adams claimed on waivers by the Cardinals, returning to the Cardinals, which, by the way, and I know Uncle Sweeps will follow me on this, I love the move for the Cardinals because they needed that platoon left-handed power bat. He's going to be really good, and he's much better hitter now than when he left there. And obviously, Harper was revoked off of waivers, officially pulled back, but the Dodgers won the waiver claim on him. Could you have imagined? It would have never happened because they're not going to give them a taste. They're not going to give him a taste of L.A. But could you imagine Manny Machado and Bryce Harper in the same lineup?
I'd rather not, Crum.
Good God.
All I can say with the
But
Nationals,
congratulations. The Nationals have finally started to dismantle their team.
fire sale.
It's happening.
Fire sale.
Real quick, too.
The coach, or I'm sorry, the manager, done. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm shocked they
Should
haven't
be.
fired him yet.
Still let them finish out the season. May
It's
as well
classy,
at
very
this point.
classy of Washington. They're used to firing coaches.
Sure.
Bryce Harper's gone now. I
Oh,
mean,
without
can
a
we
doubt.
all agree, because there were little rumors, coming around, oh, there's a chance he could stay in Washington. No,
I'd be shocked.
no friggin' shot.
I really didn't think he was staying in Washington anyway. Just off the top of my, I mean, the Cubs could be a destination. I hate saying that.
It's Cubs and Phillies.
The
for me.
Phillies. I still wouldn't rule out the Yankees just because. I wouldn't even rule out a team like Boston because Boston finds a way to get these guys. There's a number of teams that I still think are a team to look out for. I hope it's the Phillies because I would be sick to my stomach if he went to the Cubs.
Bryce Harper won't go to the Yankees because Machado's going to go to the Yankees. And I'm not saying it involves it, but I think the big signing from the Yankees this offseason will be Machado.
Dodgers are still an option for
Oh,
Bryce. I still think Machado's going to end up in Philly.
Hey, man, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I do.
I
I think
love
that
that.
Machado's going to end up in Philadelphia.
In my mind right now.
Franco's making a case, though, at least this season, for taking that job into next year and focusing on a Harper and not worrying so much about acquiring, somebody on the left side of the infield.
That's true. If you were to ask me my prediction now, it's Machado, Yankees, Harper, Phillies.
Okay.
Because I'm almost certain, just because how can you not get one of the two? I believe we're definitely going to get one of the two because we're going to be going all in.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously the owner obviously wants to try and get both.
Well, hey,
so he's not going to
listen. Jason Wirth said that Harper asked him about Philadelphia.
Why? But there was I forget the guy's name. He's on the MLB Network. Report came out 2 days ago. He very confidently believes Harper's going to go to Philadelphia. So I'm like, oh my god! And I'm not even he's not at the top of my list. I'm actually not a Bryce Harper guy, but I'll freaking take him.
Here's my thing with Bryce Harper, and I know you're going to get Phillies fans who say, I don't want Bryce Harper, yada yada yada.
That's better than we have.
Here's the thing with Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, if he is on your team, you love to have Bryce Harper, and I truly believe that. Say what you want, but the dude is at 100 all the time, and he plays hard. And that dude, when he's hot, boy, there ain't many guys in the league that can hit the ball and rip the cover off the ball like him. I know he's struggling a bit this year, but I think he's a special talent. And I think if the Phillies, if you got a chance to go out and get him, you go out and get him. And this isn't like hey, go get LeBron at age 30, whatever. This is a young kid who is going to be the cornerstone of your franchise for years to come. And if Bryce Harper's on your team, other guys are going to want to come and play here.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about that, the thing that worries me, my main concern with going out and getting a Bryce Harper is not the now. It's about signing him to a 10-year contract and trying to get through years 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because in my opinion, compared to a Manny Machado who's going to get a similar type deal, Manny Machado has a lot more he screams more efficiency late in his career. Harper seems to me as a guy who's going to have a shorter lifespan in the MLB.
Sure.
Mr. Chucks.
Okay. Let's see.
Charles, I could.
So I have two topics. So the first one, Adrian Peterson signed with the Skins.
Cool.
I will read that post, Chucks. Thank you. One moment.
Go ahead. But I think it's just.
I could make the argument, though, that for the league minimum, we could have signed him to compete for the 4th running back spot.
You read my mind, Chrome.
There you go.
I was going to say that, or I was going to say, can we call DeMarco?
And the funny thing is, it should be a joke, but I'm not even joking
No.
about that.
That's how bad
I'll
we
tell
are.
you what,
fourth.
goddamn. DeMarco, I wouldn't rule his ass out either.
I mean, that's serious. I'm like, can we get him off of ESPN? Can we bring him back before he
The
signs the
return of
dotted lines?
DeMarco. But that's how bad it's got with the Skins. Oh man, they went from Darius Geis, who was one of the better young running backs, to Adrian Peterson.
And they were partying yesterday. They were partying. They're like, oh, we got
No,
AP.
they weren't. Were they really?
Oh, yes, they were.
Oh, my
yes, they were.
God.
They're messaging us, oh, look, guys. Look, Eagles fans. We got
Oh,
AP.
my gosh.
And it's like, yeah, you got
Oh,
AP.
my
Is it 2012?
No,
For the
my
league
God.
minimum.
League minimum. In August, Chrome.
in August.
I didn't know we were in the Dez Bryant category.
Ugh.
You know what I'm saying? Is Dez next?
AP does.
He's got to
is not
sign
the same.
somewhere, right?
Browns.
I think it's going to be
Has
Cleveland.
to be.
I don't know because I don't know anymore. He already met with them. I think it's more so Dez trying to. I don't think deep down he wants to sign with the Browns. They're just like, all right, no one else wants me. I'll go to the Browns.
I
I
feel
think
like
he's trying to wait it out.
I feel like Dez is going to be one of those guys that's going to be picked up after a major injury.
Possibly.
I think
Yeah.
it could be week 2, week 3. I think that he might sit there and wait.
Yeah. Who knows when that'll be?
I
but
just
yeah.
have a feeling he's going to end up, if it's not the Browns, and this is a wild name, I feel like he's going to end up on the Raiders. Just something tells me.
It's a fit.
Something tells
What
me.
if Jordy Nelson gets hurt?
Or if he sucks, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Outside name I'm going to throw out there, though. I still think there's a chance he could go to New England.
You think so?
Yeah.
Dez. I think there's an outside chance, and I think
Because they have Chris Hogan, but nothing much
They
else
have a
on the
bunch
outside.
of grocery store clerks.
Cordell Patterson.
Edelman's out for a while. I mean,
Edelman's
I
out 4
think
games.
that I could see it. I just can say it.
I would not be surprised. No one should ever be surprised when it comes to the Patriots.
I
So
know.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
My one thing, and I actually heard it on the way up here. They were talking about it on the dial. I'm getting fired up before I even stepped into the
What you
studio.
do, listen to the dial.
I flipped it on. They were talking about something. I started screaming in the car, so I got addicted. All right,
listen to
it wasn't
podcasts.
good. It was. I
Go
agree.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Good.
They were talking about the idea of booing this Eagles team if they start struggling out of the gates at all portions. And listen, I'm not Mr. 2018. Oh, we have to cheer everybody, give everyone participation trophies. Oh, we appreciate you. No, I'm not that guy. And I'm not saying I'm completely understanding, as we all are, that we're going to have some things this season that are going to piss us off, that are going to annoy us. Hell, we just spent the first 10 minutes of the show yelling at Vitae, of all people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is before the season. But if we're talking in August about booing this Eagles team that gave us the opportunity to not have to boo
Why does that
all last season. Did we boo once?
Why do
Listen,
they have to bring that up?
I'll ask you who it was specifically off the air. You know, I don't want to put any names out there unless you want to. But
Just put it out there.
we're talking about
Johnny Marks.
Okay. Well, here's my thing with the dial, okay? Classless. This is the kind of stuff that they do because they have to go out and there's an agenda, but they have to go out and invoke different things with ratings. So this is the same kind of stuff that got batteries thrown at J.D. Drew and had all kinds of different things, and they've created major incidents in the city from trying to get people fired up to do this and that. Shut up.
Yep.
Like, just shut up.
Thank you.
Like, this
Just
team
shut
just
up.
bought you probably the most celebrated championship in the history of Philadelphia sports, and that is a fact.
Yes.
Because this is a football city. When you look at the other 4 major sports, we've never really had a terrible Flyers era, so we don't know what it would be like if the Flyers were, like, in the bottom of the league for a couple of years.
Sure.
But when the Phillies aren't successful, people aren't showing up at games. Hell, the first half of this season, when they were, and I don't even know, they still may not be selling out games, but when they were in first place early in this season, there was still 15,000 people showing up to games. And no lines to go to Chicky and Pete's and everything else in there that you would normally wait in an hour and a half line. So that's what it tells you. The Sixers, nobody shows up to Sixers games when the Sixers aren't good. It is a football town.
Mhm.
So to sit there now and think that you're going to puff your chest out and you're going to be what's going to motivate these grown-ass men who know what it's like to overcome adversity and step the level up when it's showtime, shut up.
Yeah.
Sit back behind your microphone and eat your pastrami
Johnny
and shut your damn mouth.
It's Johnny Marks. Like, of course it's.
I hate people who are just characters.
Yeah.
Like, be who you are. The
Yep.
way we are here, this is how we really are.
Yep.
This is what it should be. No agenda. Be real. Just talk to the people. Tom totally says it. Real talk. That's what we are. This is the conversation we would have if you guys were sitting here with us on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just be real about it. Let's not sit here and try to instigate things and throw ourselves into
He's
the
trying
picture.
to cause controversies in freaking August.
And then let's just say they do it, and then the Eagles start playing well. They'll take credit for it. I told you should have did that. Yada yada. I knew it would work. No, it's because they're pros and they got their shit together. Shut your mouth.
Go ahead.
I loved the video this week of Reese Hoskins and Big Al. That was amazing, by the way. I don't know if you saw it, Chucks. I know you know Big Al is, right? And he hits dingers.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't know, he hits dingers. But I love the video. Was that a Snapchat video?
No, I found it. I was actually scrolling down Twitter, and Reese Hoskins' Twitter pops up.
Okay.
And he had just posted it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my God.
So I guess he was sitting in the crowd during one of the games.
Little League World Series.
Yeah.
It was before the game. They were
and it
socializing.
was so cool. He was like sitting there, and he's just like, "This is Reese Hoskins, the Philadelphia Phillies, and look who I have with me." And then it's Big Al there, and he says, "We got one thing. Me and Big Al, one thing in common. What is it? Like to hit dingers. Like to hit dingers." That was a great video.
And then the fist bump, and it's just it's freaking perfect.
Let me just say, Major League Baseball got it right by over the last couple of years integrating themselves with the weekend with the Little League World Series.
Absolutely.
I think of all the professional sports, it's one of the absolute best things that they do, and it's giving these kids. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. I was fortunate enough to go in '95 and actually experience the Little League World Series. It's a really cool experience if you ever get a chance to go to Williamsport and check it out. But kind of knowing like how much these kids love the game, and to have that opportunity to experience meeting major leaguers and that they play a game there, like a meaningful game. Like, it's so cool to me that they have managed to kind of cross those worlds and make it a much bigger event and put them on an even higher at an even higher microscope for the Little League World Series. So kudos to Major League Baseball. Kudos, and the only time I'll give kudos to the Mets organization and the Phillies organization for the way they handled that time with those kids.
Yep.
Really cool to see. So.
Dope. My last.
Dope.
My last point. And I think the news of this came out like last Wednesday or something. So after the show. So I know it's a week old, but Jalen Ramsey's quote, and his quotes on the quarterbacks in the league that he had with GQ. I thought like when ATD posted it, there were a lot of people like angry, like, oh, who is he, blah, blah, blah. I loved it. I'm sorry. I freaking loved it. I thought it was great. He doesn't care. He really doesn't care. Do you think he cares that he's going to be the villain? He's going to have a target on his back? I'm pretty sure he wants a target on his back. He wants a challenge of people throwing his direction to try to beat him. That's who Jalen Ramsey is. And to be honest, reading through all of his takes on the quarterbacks, I didn't agree with all of them, but I sure as hell agreed with more than half of what he said, and he wasn't far off. And I want to touch on 4 quarterbacks that he talked about, that three of them I completely agree with. First, Jared Goff, average to above average. For what his team asks him to do, yeah, he's good. That is 100% spot on. He's an above-average quarterback who had a great year because the system allowed him to have a great year. Dak Prescott, good, all right, okay, but Cowboys run through Ezekiel Elliott. Have we not been saying that forever? And I love how he starts off as saying he's good, and then he went down to he's all right, and then he went down to he's okay. But the Cowboys run through Zeke, which is 100% true. That's Zeke's offense. Kirk Cousins, winner, competitor. Coming off the play action, he's the best quarterback in the league. Exactly.
I love me some Kirk
Cousins. But the one quarterback that he would not slam was his own, Blake Bortles. And his quote cracked me up because he goes, when asked about Blake, he goes, Blake do what he got to do. I think in crunch time moments, like last year's playoff game, not as a team because we would have trusted him, but I think as an organization, we should have trusted him more to keep throwing it. That's just laughable because to me that's showing your coaches don't trust him because he can't do more outside of what they ask him to do, which is play action, short passes, and just chucking it deep off of play action. Like they can't ask him to do anything more than that because he fucks it up. Because he fucks up. And Doug Peterson even said it. He was like, he watched it was reported that he saw the Jags be conservative against the Patriots, and he swore he wouldn't do that. That's why he went for it in the Super Bowl. And that's exactly the reason why they hold back is because of Blake Bortles. It's because he can't do any of that. So even though I get what Jalen Ramsey was trying to do in defending his own teammate, he's not going to talk bad about his own quarterback. That's going to cause drama. But based on not just what he has said, but what the coaches and the players have said all offseason, if you listen to any of their quotes about Bortles, they indirectly say he sucks by just being like giving these nice quotes. It's hilarious.
Chucks, when you were watching the highlight thing before the show, what's the first thing I said? I said, "Hey, Chucks, he freaking stinks."
Yes.
I mean, he
does.
stinks. You were
Oh
bringing
my
up, you're like,
God.
oh, you said something along the lines of, "Oh, Bortles has been struggling," and I said, "Well, is water wet?" Jalen,
It's
don't even
so
lie,
bad.
because
It's so
we
bad.
understand where you're lying, Jalen. How about we just say like, "Oh, I'll pass. I just won't say anything about Blake," because now you're BSing me, Jalen. You said some good things about my quarterback, but you're BSing me. Just skip Blake. He stinks. He stinks.
Oh my God, it's just the funniest thing when you hear his teammates talk about him. It's like the most passive aggressive thing, because they'll say like, "Oh yeah, like he does what he's got to do," or like, "Oh his bad stuff isn't as bad as last year." That was literally Blake's quote.
That is such a
He
side-winded
says,
compliment.
Blake said about when asked about his own game this year, how he feels about going into the season. He's like, "Yeah, it's just that the bad stuff, they're not nearly as bad as they were last year."
Oh, I don't suck as bad. I'm not good, but I listen.
When you talk like that, you know that you're in trouble. I just thought it was hilarious. But all of his Ramsey's quote and interview as a whole, I thought it was great. I think it's great for football. And I don't know. I thought it's awesome having someone who wants to be the villain of the league. It's fine.
Very nice. Great show, guys.
Good show.
Little condensed episode tonight. Thank you to the fam for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. You guys are awesome. We love talking to the fam. Top of the hour. First time we're ever hopping off and have somebody follow us.
I know.
Double header.
I'm staying on the couch. We
Worth
got
it.
the greatest hair in the business, the Ginger Gang, coming at you with Maddie Sensudi. We're going to be bringing you Lazy Booking on a special night. Unable to do Thursday, so we're bringing it to you here tonight, Tuesday night. We'll talk SummerSlam and all that stuff.
Have fun, guys.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. Guys, enjoy the football game on Friday or on Thursday. Little preseason action. We're getting so much closer to the regular season. Thanks to our sponsors, Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant, GibsonMayer.com, Stream Smart, Scanzano Sports. Guys, it's been a great time. We'll check you next week.